Hello, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video. This time I'm using the Mimosa Winter 2016 color kit. This is the second layout I've created with that kit, and I've also grabbed some of my very favorite pattern papers that I've been hanging on to for a little while. So let's get started. Here are those papers I was talking about, and then this is the Mimosa Embellishment kit. I have used it already, so not all of the pieces that come in the kit are in this bowl, but I'm just having a look at what is left in the bowl. And one of the things that I'm definitely digging for in here are these mug paper clips, and I know that there was some discussion about whether they were mittens or paper clips, or I mean puzzle pieces or mugs, and they are indeed mugs. You could use them for mittens if you wanted to, or even puzzle pieces, which I had puzzle pieces on my mind. I was planning on doing a puzzle related layout, and so I thought I could use them, and you totally could. But I also have this layout about tea, which we tend to drink in coffee mugs because we're big coffee drinkers around here. So I'm just looking at, these are some of my very, very favorite pattern papers that I have out here on my desk, and those colorful stripy papers are from Fancy Pants, from the Flutter collection, actually, and this background paper that's really beautiful pink watercolor is from Studio Calico, and I'm just looking through my whole folder, and I thought maybe the pink watercolor would be a little bit too much, so I also took out this blue and yellowy colored watercolor background paper, also from Studio Calico, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go with lots and lots of pink, or if I'm going to try to balance out the pinks and purples with a little bit of blues and greens on my background paper. And so what I was doing right there was I just went to my scrap drawer that has all my black and white scraps, because I knew I wanted to mat this photo with some really dark pattern paper, and I'm trying to decide between a couple there, and I decided on this one, which is from Simple Stories, and I decided on it because it has numbers on it, even though you're not going to see the numbers. The Game of War, which is the card game that my kids are playing, doesn't involve, numbers. And also it has a creamy colored, the numbers are cream instead of a stark white. And if I go with these two papers by Fancy Pants from the Flutter collection, they have more of a creamy base to them, so I wanted to stick with a cream background for the black instead of the other black pattern paper that I was considering for my scrap drawer was a black and a very stark white. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how I might want to put these. I love these two papers. I actually bought them at last year's Crop and Create, so I've had them in my stash for almost a year. They're from Fancy Pants, those two pattern papers, this one with the chevrons and also the diagonal stripe. And I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to put them together. They don't go very well together in layers because they're such a similar scale to the patterns, and so they really don't layer very well together. So I'm going to put them in different places on my layout instead of right beside one another, and that's again because of their scale. So I'm just playing around here with, oh, that really doesn't look very good, and then that's just way too busy, but I just wanted to kind of just experiment and make sure that I was finding the best combination here. So I decided to go with the pink background, which is what I figured I would do. I just wanted to keep a couple of options out. I'm going to use 3 pieces of crepe paper here, and I'm right off the bat coming up with 3 places here on this layout, and instead of it being a triangle, it's like a visual triangle, which is a design principle that I sometimes talk about. This one is going to be a diagonal. So I'm just having a look at some of the embellishments in the kit that might coordinate with the other items that I have picked out. I'm picking lots of things that have that beautiful turquoisey blue and some pops of the burgundy pinky color, and then I of course have those really bright pink pieces of crepe paper. And then this gold foil paper was one of the specialty papers from the Flutter collection from Fancy Pants, and I did buy a sheet of it too, and I haven't really known what to do with it since I bought it. I kind of thought I would use it together with the other 2 pieces of paper I bought from the collection. I didn't buy the whole collection, I only bought those 3 pieces, and so I'm just cutting it up here, and I'm going to spread it across those 3 different places where I will be placing embellishments. So one in the top corner, one in the middle, and one in the bottom. Right now it's not over to the corner, and it's not ever going to get all the way over to the corner, but I'm kind of going with this diagonal that doesn't span the full width of the 12 by 12 piece of paper. So it has more of a vertical look to it than if it were spread all the way across the whole width of the 12 by 12. So now here I have this piece of crepe paper, and this is one of the extra ones. The kit came with a lot more than 3. I think it came with 5. And so I'm just experimenting with the extra one that I'm not going to use just to see how it looks with mist on it. I thought it looked a little flat and also a little too intense. Too intense for the color scheme that I'm going for anyways. I do love the bright pink, but I just need to tone it down a little bit. So I'm using some white Mr. Huey's and also some gold Heidi Swap color shine. And once I played with it with that extra piece, I decided to go back and get the 3 pieces that I had originally picked because I knew they were the right sizes, and I wasn't quite sure about that extra piece if it was going to work. It looked a little small to my eyes. So again, I always keep baby wipes in my craft room because I use them a lot for cleaning up, and I don't like to get mist on anything that I don't mean to get mist on, so I try to clean up my hands and my work surface. So this background paper is from Studio Calico. It's from the Lemon Lush collection. I was just using my Caterpillar crop tool there to crop it off. I had to just remove the branding strip, and I'm using my Stampin' Up! Stapler. Now, I did talk about this on a recent haul, and as something that I was looking forward to playing with, it's actually not as good a tool as what I would like it to be. It doesn't staple quite as smoothly, and it does get clogged quite a bit, and you have to open it up and fix the staples. So that's a little bit disappointing. I thought I would share that with you guys. That's the wrong size piece of gold foil paper there. That was my scrap that I didn't use. So I will talk in a little bit more detail about that on an upcoming scrap chat. I'll talk about that stapler and show you exactly what I mean about what I don't like about it. I do like having the different size of staples though, so I will definitely still be using it, but I thought I would let you guys know what I actually thought of it. So this cream colored piece of paper was something that I had cut from the Fancy Pants paper, and then it was too much, so I flipped it over and was using just the beige side of it to be a bit of a neutral buffer between the photo and the pattern papers. And I just noticed that feather paper from the Scraptastic Kit Club would make a much nicer buffer. It just has that little bit of extra interest that the plain beige paper just didn't have, with those soft white feathers on it. It just adds a little bit more of a delicate look to this layout. So now I have my basket of black and gray thickers here. These are just my black and gray thickers. I know I have a lot of thickers, but I love them. So I was thinking about making the word T in this really pretty font, but I'm running out of that one. There were no E's and no A's, so I had to scratch that idea. And I know I want to use 2 different fonts. I want the word T to be kind of scrolly or fancy, and then I want the word war to be like a bold block letter. And so I originally chose these rubber thicker, they're not thickers actually, they're Studio Calico letter stickers, and they're made out of like a puffy rubber, and they're really, really pretty. And I love how the word T looks like that. That's just beautiful, but it's not going to work. Oh, that's too bad because I really like it. I guess it probably could have worked, but I just decided to go with a bolder title. So now I decided to take this ampersand. I have this problem where I can never find an ampersand that I like when I need it. So that's just, that's not going to work at all. So here's my bold letter stickers for the word war. I do really like them. They're from Heidi Swap, and they were on sale at my local scrapbooking store. So I bought a whole bunch of packages of them, and I repackaged them into my own plastic packaging that I always use. If you guys want to check out how I do that, I'll link the video in the information section for this one about how I repackage all of my thickers. So I'm just placing my titles out on wax paper, and I'm cutting it apart so that I can play around with the placement a little. And I took another font. It's the Cal Barteschi font, which is one of my favorites. It's a beautiful black foam letter sticker. And so I took that instead of that gray. I love the gray, but I just was looking for something a little bit more bold for this title. I have a really hard time going with anything other than a bold title. I don't know, I'm a sucker for a bold title. That's part of the reason why black foam letter stickers are my very, very favorite, just because I just love them, because I love those bold titles. So this is shaping up quite nice, and I'm playing around a little bit with moving the T and to beside each other instead of over top one another, but I like the look of it one above another, like this, instead of beside one another. So I also have these little flags from the kit, and they have little sayings on them. They are French, but that's okay. I know what they mean. The top one says moi et toi, and the other one says XOXO, and the other one has hearts, and those are of course universal. So this is the general layout. This is generally what it's going to look like. So I have a piece of crepe paper in each of the 3 embellishment clusters, a piece of gold foil paper in each, a wood veneer on the top and on the bottom, and then the felt flower is in the middle, and a flag on each of the 3 clusters of embellishments as well. So this is pretty much what it's going to look like. So now I need to staple everything down. So I decided to just use my stapler. You guys will notice that this is a little bit different than what I usually do, but I just kind of felt like doing it. So I'm stapling them in place instead of taking them all apart and gluing them like I usually do. So I'm going to use my ATG there to glue that little piece of crepe in place because it didn't get hit by the staple, of course, because it's down so much lower. And now I'm going to staple this in place as well. So now all 3 clusters are stapled right onto my background. Except that the middle cluster is just stapled to itself. It's not attached yet. I'll wait till the very end to do that. So I'm playing around a little bit here with where I want to put those coffee mugs or tea mugs in this case. I like them down below a little bit better, but then I've got that gap, and so I've got to fill the gap with something. So I was trying to figure out where I would place the flag for that cluster. So there's a great place to place it. It fills the gap between the photo and the line of teacups. So it's perfect. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now I think what I'm doing here is I'm going to grab my hot glue gun. I don't often use hot glue on, there it is. I don't often use hot glue on layouts, but because I'm using that really heavy felt embellishment, that flower that came in the Mimosa kit, I'm going to use hot glue just to make sure that it stays in place. So I put the word war down because I knew it was going to layer on top of that embellishment cluster. Another good reason to use a bold black foam letter sticker. It actually doesn't look as bold in this angle because of my lights. They're making that gold foil look very dark, but it actually has really nice high contrast with that background paper in real life. And I think it shows up in the photos at the end. So bear with me and you'll get to see how that actually looks at the end. So I went ahead and I used my hot glue gun to attach these. I don't like using hot glue just because I just don't like it. It's not very forgiving. And it didn't cause me any problems here, but I probably would have rather used glossy accents or Tombow mono multi-adhesive on those. But I had my hot glue gun out and it's super fast and it dries instantly, so it was very appealing. So I just did it with the coffee cups as well. But because the die cut, the wood veneers, not die cuts, but the wood veneers are so delicate, I decided to use that Tombow mono multi, which is my very favorite liquid glue for those 2 wood veneers. One is like a flowery medallion looking piece, and the other is so I'm saying here that I don't want to line this up so that it's lined up with the top element. I want it to be staggered. That's what I was kind of gesturing there. Placing down the T and the ampersand in that beautiful Cal Barteschi font, which I love so much. Moving everything over a little bit so that it's basically, I want it to be left aligned here. And the letter W is a little strange in that it has these pieces that hang over to the extreme left from where most of the letter is. So I moved everything over to the right a little bit so that it's a little bit more balanced. I'm just pulling out the threads on that crepe paper embellishment that came in the kit just because I like the threads showing and they're showing in the other ones. So I wanted to make sure that they're showing in that one as well. Now I thought that these little brackets made awesome. They look like little saucers, even though I have 2 cups in one saucer. It's just sort of like a symbolic thing. It's not exactly literal, but then this little I don't know what you call that little thing, the little V-shaped sideways thing. I'm going to mark that as the place where my journaling begins. And I love those little marks. I forget what they're called, but it's like a little tiny chevron arrow thing. So I just spread some thickers into different places on the layout so that the title isn't the only harsh black thing. And I'm doing my journaling, which says, on cold winter mornings, we like to start our day with a game of cards, in brackets, we like war, and hot cups of tea from Germany. And so I did that in a fine, not super fine, but fine point Faber-Castell Pitt pen, and then I did my underlining in a medium Faber-Castell Pitt pen. And now I'm going to make the rest of my journaling over here. Because the journaling at the top attaches the top embellishment cluster with the middle embellishment cluster, I want this journaling here to attach the middle embellishment cluster with the bottom embellishment cluster, which includes the title. So I'm running my journaling so that it goes right over to right beside those letter stickers and that embellishment cluster, so that it kind of connects, so that the two batches of journaling connect all three elements together. And the bottom part says, ever since Marcel introduced us to German herbal tea, our winter weekend mornings have often included tea and cards. And so that's where the snowflake embellishments come from, even though the picture is not about snow or winter. The journaling is about snow and winter, and the photo was taken in the winter. Just adding some drops of Heidi Swapp Color Shine in gold, just to finish this one off. And now I'll show you the close-ups of this one. You'll see how this is what the layout actually looks like. So that crepe paper is quite a bit brighter, even with it being toned down with the gold and white mist. It's still this really bright pop of color on the layout, and I really like what it brings to the layout. And then those little saucer, little black foam letter stickers from the Heidi Swapp letters. And then I added a couple of the Cal Barteschi little punctuation pieces, like some asterisks and the little V symbol, chevron or whatever we're going to call it, just to kind of add a couple of punches of black every here and there. I didn't do any outlining of my pattern papers on this layout. I really wanted it to have a fun, fast, not too thoughtful, and I really like how those saucers look, those little brackets. They kind of look like they were added. Everything kind of looks like it was just kind of thrown together, and I really like that. This layout only took 1 hour and 6 minutes, which is very, very fast for me. Most of my layouts take about 2 hours. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a really great week. If you're looking for the Mimosa kit, the links to it are in the information section for this video, and also if you're interested in joining my Facebook group, there's the information. The March 27-day challenge was to use up some of the pretty things that you've been hanging on to, either not sure how to use or just feeling like they're so pretty you don't want to use them. So I got a chance to use some of those Flutter collection papers from Fancy Pants and the gold foil, and even that background paper I was hanging on to in my very, very, very favorite pocket of papers. So I'm going to use this as my 27-day challenge entry for the month of March. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this scrapbooking process video. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.